Hello, thanks for listening to the FLP Finance Leadership Podcast. It's your fortnightly focus on the latest information and news about the Finance Leadership Programme pathway to your CGMA qualification. It's produced by AICPA and CIMA, together as the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants. You can find out more at aicpa.org and cimaglobal.com. I'm Kevin Gormley, your regular host, and today I have the pleasure of being joined by Katie Collins from Kaplan. Hi Katie, could you just introduce yourself and tell us what you do at Kaplan, please?
Yeah, of course. My name's Katie Collins and I'm the CIMA Curriculum Manager at Kaplan Financial, and I'm also a tutor, which means I teach as well.
Great, thanks Katie. As students and those potentially starting the CGMA qualification already know, we have a number of subscription models on our Finance Leadership Programme pathway to CGMA. One of those is the Skills Premium subscription, which includes live learning from Kaplan as our premium partner. So if you could just give us an overview of the partnership and what it brings in terms of the value to students who choose the subscription.
Yeah, of course. Kaplan and CIMA have got a really long-standing relationship, and Kaplan is the only official CIMA approved provider, which means that all of our material is accredited by CIMA, so it's approved and reviewed by CIMA. We've worked with CIMA quite a lot over the past years in terms of being the official provider, but also being a joint venture with cimastudy.com. So FLP Premium is the next step really in that relationship. And
what exactly is the premium product?
The premium product goes over and above what is offered on the skills product. We're offering tutor support, so in-level learning, where we're topping up the knowledge on the FLP platform, as well as getting students ready for the case study exam when they choose to sit it. Also, getting tutor support outside of the classroom interaction, and also having access to coaching emails from our learning coaches.
So, Kitty, if I was a student considering premium, what's the experience like in terms of when the classes are run, how they're structured, how long they last typically at each session?
Yeah, you'll be getting a lot more than you would if you were doing the skills version, in that you're having in the level learning phase, which tends to start 8 or 9 months before the case study window you're aiming for. You're looking at 2 tutor-led sessions a month. So usually every fortnight, the sessions are running between 6 and 8:30 in the evenings. That's UK time, GMT, and that's delivered through Zoom. So very much you can do these if you're at work, you can do them at home, and you can access them pretty much anywhere where you've got an internet connection. So they're also recorded, so if you can't attend the session live for whatever reason, you can watch the recording in your own time.
And I suppose it's just worth noting that all the links and information pertaining to those classes are contained within the actual FLP platform itself.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a schedule and you can access the live sessions and the recordings on there.
And is there preparation or homework, for example, for students after these classes?
Yeah, so these classes are there to top up the learning on the FLP platform. It's still down to the learners to complete the competencies on the FLP platform. So this is on top of the expectations. Before the sessions, there's a structure of what will be covered, the competencies that will be covered on each session. But the learners are working through the platform independently on top of the Kaplan lectures.
So they still need to pass the topic level assessments in the Finance Leadership Programme?
Yeah, exactly.
So this is to reinforce learning and obviously give more context, scenarios, and to answer questions and develop the concepts and tools further with students.
Yeah, absolutely. And in our sessions, we're trying to do a bit of application as well. So looking at past case studies, not the actual case study that students will be sitting, but applying what they have done or what they learned through the topic level assessments, focusing on the tricky areas and getting them to apply it to real work life scenarios and situations. So embedding that learning, being able to apply it to a case study exam.
And if I was a student deciding to choose one of the many subscriptions available, why would I pick Premium?
Premium is there just to give you a bit more tutor support. So If you were doing skills, you wouldn't have any tutor support through your level learning. So getting through the topic assessments would be complete independent learning. Premium is there to support through really focusing on the tricky areas. If you think about management level and F2, your financial reporting, will be there, but the tutors will be there to really get into those standards and help apply the knowledge. Also, on top of the tutor interaction in the classes, you get access to our academic support team, and they're available to answer queries outside of the classroom interaction. So while doing independent learning, if there's things students are struggling with, you can get in touch with our academic support team and get a reply within 24 working hours.
And so there's a cohort of other students that are within the same class structure each time?
Yeah, that's it. So we're aiming for really 8 to 9 months, and a cohort will be with each other throughout the whole of those 8 to 9 months. Our first cohort launched with classes starting in early October, and they're aiming for the May case study exam. So the next cohort will start in January, and we're ready to sit the August exam, and we're going with 4 cohorts a year.
Okay. One question that comes up pretty frequently from students is around, for example, I start in January on management level. Does a student have the flexibility to move across cohorts or jump around amongst the simultaneously running cohorts?
Yeah, they would. I'm just thinking about how that would work. So say you started in January and you decided to defer that you wouldn't be ready for the August exam. If you wanted to sit in November, you just pause your subscription. So that would mean, because you still have access to it, with the subscription, you're paying for a year at a time, or 2 years or 3 years. So you get access to the whole of the platform. It could be that you just decide to join a later cohort. So instead of starting in the January, you could start in the April with a view to sitting in the November.
And another scenario that comes up is, would students have access to earlier learning on an earlier level? So for example, if I was in the P2 module learning about, obviously, advanced management accounting, would I have access to the resources that were earlier taught on P1, for example?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you sign up to the FLP subscription, you get access to everything. So if you're aiming for the management case study exam, you'd still have access to operational and strategic for the whole length of your subscription window. So if you decided you wanted to do everything in a year, starting with operational, be hard going, be a lot of work, but you could do all 3 case studies within the year and you get access to everything. So your subscription on the FLP platform will give you access to all levels.
Okay, great. So could you take us through the overview or the structure of the learning, for example?
It depends on the level that you're doing. If we go to management case study, so this would have been historically known as the gateway route for CIMA. But at the management level, what we're saying is we're saying join us for 11 in-level learning. So sessions, when I say in-level learning, that's your tutor-led sessions topping up what you're doing independently on the FLP platform. We've structured it in terms of the E2 first, then F2, and then P2. So 3 sessions, 3 tutor-led sessions on E2, 5 tutor-led sessions on F2, and then going on to do the P2. So you've got these 11 sessions where the tutor is topping up the knowledge, getting students to apply it to a previous case study, and those are 2 per month. So those are the 2 every fortnight of tutor-led Zoom sessions. Now, when the pre-scene, and when I talk about the pre-scene, that is information related to a case study window. So when the pre-scene is released, the sessions will become more intensive and we'll be going into the application phase. The application phase is where everything that's been learned on the FLP platform and in our in-level learning sessions will be applied to the pre-scene, which is the exam that the case study will be based on. Those are 10 evenings and they're more intense because of the timescale between the exam and the pre-scene. You're looking at 2 evenings per week over the space of about 5 or 6 weeks. There's a gap, but you're looking really at quite an intensive session in the lead up to the case study exam window.
All right, and obviously outside the actual live learning with Kaplan, would there be an expectation the students will be doing their own learning, or obviously any other components within case study review?
In the case study review, there'll be mock exams. So Kaplan will be providing mock exams that will be marked. So they'll be marked externally, and learners will be given tailored feedback. So as well as doing the sessions with the tutor, applying to the pre-SIM, there'll be mock exams, really to develop the exam technique, so that when learners go into that exam, they're not looking at the software and they're not doing an exam for the first time. They'll have had experience in the past.
Right, okay. And is there a window when mock exams are completed by and returned, Katie, or is it an open window?
Yeah, absolutely. So there'll be assessment deadlines. Everything will be shown on the FLP platform, but there'll be deadlines for which learners will need to upload their mocks. And there'll be a timescale in which the markers will return those mocks to them. So
just to be clear, for anyone listening, these mock exams are based on the current pre-SIM, on the actual case study that's pending?
Absolutely. So if you were sitting the exam to August, for example, the mock exams will be on that August pre-SIM. So there will be whatever the fictitious company is that's been released, the mock exams will be based on that.
Yeah, that's really important, because obviously the scenarios developed there could in fact come up in the actual exam. So your effort and time will be absolutely valuable then when you come to that.
Yeah, definitely. So making sure that everything, I'd like to think that students would go into that exam and nothing will be a surprise. So through doing the course with us, doing the mock exams, really nothing that comes up should be a surprise to students.
And obviously Kaplan have a very strong pass rate with students as well. There's been a very high success rate. So obviously with all the level learning and all the effort that needed for the exam, we'd be very hopeful that students would be successful in that exam. Obviously never a guarantee to pass any exam you ever take, but you'd have a very strong fighting chance.
Yeah, and as I said earlier, we are the official publisher. So that means that the exams, the content team that write our exams, they know what they're doing. They look through the past exams that CIMA have delivered and look at the topics that have come up over and over again. So again, really getting students prepared and knowing what's going to come up on the case study exam.
Great. Final question, Katie. You mentioned earlier in the conversation that there was academic support for students to contact your professionals out of hours. How do they do that?
On the FLP platform, there's an option on there to get in touch with our academic support team. These are tutors, they're qualified tutors, and they know their stuff. So there's an email address on there that you can get in touch with, and you can email queries over to them. Now they ask that you say exactly what your query is, where it is, and they're a 24-hour turnaround, so that's 24 working hours. They do work every day of the week. There's a couple of days, I think Christmas Day and maybe Easter Sunday, a couple of days where they don't work, but there's an email address that you can get in touch with. Of course, you can get in touch with your tutor as well if you're a student, but if for whatever reason your tutor's not around, or if you were studying at a bank holiday or a weekend, academic support will get a quicker answer over to you.
Super, this has been very, very informative. Thanks, Katie, for taking the time and joining us for a conversation today on the podcast. There'll be plenty more to explore about the topic on our show notes within the podcast, or you'll be able to access them through the info icon on your smartphone or tablet. And you can also open the episode in your computer's web browser. You'll find all the links there. For more information on FLP, go to enroll.cgma.org. Thanks again to our guest, Katie, and of course, thank you for listening. If you know a friend or colleague who could use this information, feel free to share it with your networks. You'll see the sharing buttons on the podcast app. That's it for now. Keep an ear for the next podcast in a couple of weeks. Keep you on your way to get your CGMA. Thanks again. Have a good day.
This content is designed to provide illustrative information with respect to the subject matter covered and does not represent an official opinion or position of the AICPA, the Association, or CIMA. It is provided with the understanding that they are not engaged in offering legal, accounting, or other professional services. If such advice or expert assistance is required, the services of a competent professional person should be sought. The AICPA, the Association, and CIMA make no representations, warranties, or guarantees as to, and assume no responsibility for, the content or application of the material contained herein, and especially disclaim all liability for any damages arising out of the use of, reference to, or reliance on such material.